The sound cracked through the afternoon air like a whip. Hundreds of people froze. Right there. Outside the Grand Meridian Shopping Center in Accra, Ghana. A wealthy woman in designer heels and a dress worth more than most people earn in a year had just done the unthinkable. She'd slapped a homeless man. Hard. Across the face. In front of everyone. But here's what she didn't know, what she couldn't have known, that dirty, broken down beggar she'd just humiliated. He wasn't who she thought he was. Not even close. And what happened next would destroy her entire world. But before we dive into this story, don't forget to subscribe to Folktales by Amara and turn on that notification bell. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. Now, let's go back to where it all started. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The kind of hot, heavy day where the sun pressed down on Accra like a weight. The air smelled like fried plantains, wache from the food vendors, and exhaust fumes from the Tiaro truss squeezing through traffic. People were everywhere. Shopping. Hustling. Moving with the organized chaos that makes Accra feel alive. And that's when she stepped out of her white Mercedes G-Wagon. Zara Mensah. 32 years old. Owner of Mensah Luxury Imports, the biggest, fanciest home decor company in West Africa. Showrooms in Accra, Lagos, Abidjan. Celebrities bought from her. Politicians begged her to design their homes. Her face had been on the cover of African Business magazine. 3 times. She looked like money. Smelled like it too. Emerald green dress hugging every curve. Long Senegalese twists falling down her back like silk. Gold bracelets jangling on both wrists. Diamond earrings catching sunlight and throwing it back in your face. Louboutin heels clicking on the pavement with authority. Her assistant, a nervous young woman named Ejoa, struggled behind her, arms full of shopping bags. "Madam Zara, should I wait by the car?" Ejoa asked, her voice small. Zara didn't even turn around. "No. Follow me. I need you to remember measurements." She was scrolling through her phone. Reading comments on her latest Instagram post, some fancy photo of her standing in front of her third mansion. Cape Coast. Beachfront. She wasn't watching where she was going. And then... bump. She walked straight into someone. Oh. Zara stumbled. Her phone nearly slipped from her perfectly manicured fingers. A hand shot out to steady her. A rough, calloused hand. Dirty fingernails. The kind of hand that had seen hard days. Zara's head snapped up. And she saw him. A man who looked like he'd been living on the streets for months. Maybe years. Tall, maybe 6 feet, but hunched over like life had beaten the straightness out of his spine. His clothes. Destroyed. A torn shirt that might have been blue once. Trousers stained with mud and engine oil. Rubber slippers held together with wire. His hair was matted. Uncombed. His beard wild and tangled. Dirt under every fingernail. He looked exactly like what he appeared to be. Poor. Forgotten. Invisible. But his eyes. For just a second, just a flash, something flickered in Zara's mind. Something familiar. But her anger drowned it out. "Are you blind?" she shouted. People nearby turned to look. "Can you not watch where you're going?" Her voice was sharp enough to cut glass. The man stepped back immediately. His head bowed. "I'm sorry, madam. Please forgive me. You bumped into me, but it's okay. No harm done." His voice was gentle. Educated, even. But Zara didn't hear that. She didn't want to hear it. "I bumped into you?" Her voice went higher. Louder. A crowd started forming. Because in Accra, drama draws people like honey draws flies. "Look at yourself. Zara's face twisted with disgust. What are you even doing in front of a place like this? This is a shopping center for decent people. Not for street beggars. Madam, I was only passing by. You touched me. She looked at her arm where his hand had steadied her. Looked at it like he'd infected her with something deadly. Your filthy hands touched my skin. Do you know how much this dress cost? Do you know who I am? Ajoa whispered nervously. Madam, please. People are watching. Let them watch. Zara snapped. A young man in the crowd stepped forward. Sister, please. He said sorry. It was an accident. Zara whipped around to face him. Did I ask for your opinion? Mind your business. An elderly woman selling oranges nearby shook her head. This young woman has no respect. The poor man did nothing wrong. Poor man. Zara laughed. But it was a cruel sound. Cold. Exactly. Poor. He should know his place. He should know not to walk where successful people do business. She stepped closer to the man. So close she could see the exhaustion in his face. The lines around his eyes. Look at you, she hissed. You're useless. Worthless. I work hard for everything I have. And parasites like you just exist to make our city look dirty. The man looked up. Met her eyes directly. And for just a moment, Zara felt something strange. A chill down her spine. Because his eyes. They weren't the eyes of a broken beggar. They were sharp. Intelligent. Almost knowing. But pride wouldn't let her back down. Don't you dare look at me like that, she spat. And then she did it. Slap. The sound echoed across the parking lot. The entire crowd gasped. The man's head jerked to the side. A red mark bloomed immediately on his cheek. Bright. Angry. Complete silence fell. The man slowly, turned his face back toward her. He touched his cheek. Looked at his fingertips like he was checking for blood. His expression. Calm. Too calm. You will regret this, he said quietly. Not like a threat. Like a simple fact. Like saying, the sun will rise tomorrow. Zara laughed mockingly. Regret. Regret what? Teaching you a lesson. You should thank me. Now you remember to stay in your lane. She snapped her fingers at Ajoa. Let's go. I need to wash my hands. God knows what diseases that creature is carrying. Her heels clicked against the pavement as she walked away. The crowd parted for her. Some people looked disgusted. Others looked at the old man with pity. A few pulled out phones, recording. Zara didn't care. She was Zara Mensah. Untouchable. The man stood there for another moment. Just watching her disappear into the shopping center. Then he reached into his torn pocket. And pulled out a device. A small, expensive-looking device that no homeless person should own. He lifted it to his mouth and spoke quietly. Target confirmed. Personality assessment, narcissistic, volatile, potentially unaware. Proceeding to phase 2. Then he turned and walked away. Blending back into the crowd. Like he'd never been there at all. Everyone in Accra knew Zara Mensah as the queen of luxury. The untouchable businesswoman. The one who had it all. But nobody knew about the terrified 12-year-old girl still hiding inside her. The girl who'd lost everything. The girl who'd built walls so high, even she couldn't see over them anymore. 30 minutes later, Zara's G-Wagon pulled through the tall iron gates of her East Legon mansion. East Legon. Where only the wealthiest Ghanaians lived. Where every house looked like it belonged in a magazine. Her house was a masterpiece. 3 stories of glass and steel and imported Italian marble. Modern. Cold. Perfect. A bronze fountain sat in the front courtyard, water flowing over some abstract sculpture she'd bought in Paris. Security guards at the gate. Cameras everywhere. Everything about it screamed, I made it. I won. But inside lived a woman who trusted no one. Zara kicked off her Louboutins the second she stepped through the front door. Adjoa. Put those bags in my closet. And bring me sanitizer. A whole bottle. Yes, madam. Adjoa hurried away like a scared mouse. From the kitchen, a voice called out. Loud. Warm. Completely different from Zara's sharp tone. Yai, Zara. Is that you making all that noise? Zara smiled. For the first time all day, she actually smiled. Auntie Morawa. A short, round woman in her 60s appeared. She wore a beautiful Kent cloth wrapped around her body and a matching head wrap. Her face was kind. Soft. The complete opposite of her niece's sharp, guarded features. This was Auntie Morawa. The woman who'd raised Zara after. Well. After everything fell apart. Come, Auntie Morawa said, waving her toward the dining room. I made your favorite. Groundnut soup with kontimaya. Auntie, you know I'm on a diet, Zara protested. But she followed anyway. They sat down at the long marble dining table. The kind of table that could seat 12 people but usually only sat one. Auntie Morawa studied her niece's face. Really looked at her. What happened today? She asked quietly. Zara shrugged. What do you mean? You have that look. What look? The look you get when you've been wicked to someone. Zara rolled her eyes. Auntie, please. Some dirty beggar bumped into me at the shopping center. I taught him some manners. That's all. The warmth drained from Auntie Morawa's face. Zara. What did you do? Nothing he didn't deserve. He touched me with his filthy hands, so I slapped him. The spoon clattered against the bowl. You slapped him. Auntie Morawa stood up, her voice rising. Zara Mensah. I did not raise you to treat people this way. Auntie, you don't understand. These street people are becoming too bold. They need to know their place. Their place. The old woman's eyes flashed with something Zara rarely saw. Anger. Listen to yourself. Auntie Morawa's voice shook. Have you forgotten where you came from? Have you forgotten that after your parents died, we had nothing? Zara looked away. We lived in a single room in Nima. Auntie continued. One room, Zara. I sold vegetables by the roadside just to pay your school fees. We were exactly like that man you slapped today. That was different. Different how? Auntie Morawa sat back down heavily. Because now you have money. Because now you wear expensive clothes and drive a fancy car. She reached across the table and took Zara's hand. Money has changed you, my child, she said softly. You've become hard. Cold. This is not the Zara I raised. This is not the girl who used to share her food with street children. This is not the girl who cried when she saw people suffering. Zara pulled her hand away. Auntie, the world is hard. If you're soft, people will crush you. There's a difference between being strong and being cruel. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. Zara, I'm worried about you. You have everything, money, success, beauty. But you have no peace. No love. No joy. You trust no one. You look down on everyone. You're lonely. She paused. When was the last time you truly connected with another person? When was the last time you let someone see the real you? Not this hard exterior. The real Zara. The real me is weak, Zara said quietly. And there it was. The truth she never spoke out loud. The real me can be hurt, she whispered. Auntie Morawa's tears spilled over. Oh, my child. You're still that 12-year-old girl who lost her parents. You're still protecting yourself from pain. But you can't live like this forever. You're building walls so high that nobody can get in. Not even the people who love you. Zara stood up abruptly. I have work to do. Thank you for the soup, Auntie. She walked away. Left her aunt sitting alone at that big, empty table. Praying quietly for her niece's heart to soften. What Zara didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that on the other side of Accra, something was happening. In a secure compound. Hidden behind high walls and armed guards. The dirty beggar from the shopping center stood in a pristine office. But he didn't look dirty anymore. His torn clothes were gone. His matted hair was gone. The hunched posture was gone. He stood tall. Clean. Powerful. He wore tactical gear. His face was clean-shaven, revealing sharp, handsome features. His eyes, those intelligent eyes, were focused on a wall of screens showing surveillance footage. Footage of Zara. His name was Ezekiel Boten. And he was one of the most elite undercover operatives in West Africa. The beggar disguise. Just one of many faces he wore. A younger man, mid-20s, wearing glasses, surrounded by computer equipment, typed rapidly on multiple keyboards. So, Kwame said without looking up. Did you make contact? Ezekiel touched his cheek. It was still tender from the slap. Yes, he replied. She's exactly as the profile suggested. Arrogant. Prideful. Quick to anger. Did she recognize you? Ezekiel was quiet for a long moment. No, he finally said. It's been 20 years. I was a different person. She was a different person. Kwame glanced up. Boss. Are you sure you can stay objective? This woman, she's not just a target. She's... I know who she is, Ezekiel interrupted. His voice was cold. Final. That doesn't change the mission. On the screen, a photograph of Zara appeared. Next to another man. Handsome. Smooth. Charming. Femi Okafor. Her business partner. Femi Okafor is definitely our primary target, Kwame said, pulling up more files. Intelligence confirms he's using Mensah luxury imports to launder money for the Scorpion cartel. We are talking weapons trafficking. Drug smuggling. Human trafficking. Millions of dollars moving through fake furniture sales. And Zara? Ezekiel asked. That's the question. Kwame pulled up financial records. Is she part of it? Or is she just a beautiful face he's using as cover? Ezekiel stared at Zara's photograph. Even in a still image, she radiated confidence. Beauty. Power. But he could see something else. Something the camera almost missed. A tightness around her eyes. A guardedness in her shoulders. On paper, she's clean, Kwame continued. She handles design, marketing, client relations. He handles operations, shipping, finances. It's possible he's running the whole criminal enterprise without her knowledge. Or she's a brilliant actress, Ezekiel countered. Exactly. Which is why you're going undercover. Kwame looked at him seriously. We need to get close to her. Figure out what she knows. Gather evidence before the cartel realizes we're onto them. The gala, Ezekiel said. Next week. Can you get me in as catering staff? Already done. You'll be serving champagne to Accra's elite. Kwame grinned. Try not to get slapped again. Despite everything, Ezekiel smiled. But as he turned to leave, his mind wandered somewhere else. To a memory he'd buried for 20 years. A memory of a 12-year-old girl standing by the Densu River. Crying. Ready to jump. Ready to end it all. And a 14-year-old boy pulling her back from the edge. Making her promise. One day, things will get better. I promise. Just hold on. He wondered if she remembered that day. He wondered if she remembered the boy who saved her life. The boy she just slapped in public without even recognizing him. Across the city, in her mansion, Zara lay in bed. Alone. Scrolling through Instagram. Looking at pictures of her own life. Pretending to be happy. She had no idea that the beggar she'd humiliated was watching her right now. She had no idea that her business partner was a monster. She had no idea that in 7 days, her entire world would explode. And she had no idea that the man she'd slapped was the same boy who'd once saved her from drowning. By day, he was one of West Africa's most elite undercover operatives. The man government called when things got too dangerous. Too complicated. Too dark. But tonight, standing in front of surveillance screens showing Zara's face, he wasn't thinking about the mission. He was thinking about a promise he made 20 years ago to a crying girl by a river. A girl who just slapped him and didn't even know it. The secure compound was everything the beggar disguise wasn't. Clean. Modern. Expensive. This was the headquarters of the African Economic Crimes Unit. A multinational task force that hunted the worst of the worst. The criminals who destroyed entire communities. Who trafficked human beings like cargo. Who sold weapons to terrorists. Ezekiel had spent 10 years infiltrating criminal organizations. He'd been a drug dealer in Lagos. A corrupt banker in Nairobi. A weapons smuggler in Johannesburg. But this mission. This one was personal. Boss, you need to see this. Kwame adjusted his glasses, pulling up new surveillance footage. I've been tracking Femi Okafor's movements. The screen filled with images of Zara's business partner. Femi Okafor. 40 years old. Handsome in that smooth, dangerous way that made women trust him and men want to be him. Perfect teeth. Perfect suits. Perfect lies. Watch this, Kwame said. Security footage from 3 nights ago. A warehouse. Femi meeting with men whose faces were covered. Exchanging briefcases. That's the Scorpion cartel's second in command, Kwame explained. They are moving something big through Mensah luxury imports. And it's happening soon. Ezekiel studied the footage. How long has this been going on? At least 3 years. Maybe longer. Kwame pulled up shipping manifest. Containers marked as luxury furniture. But the weight's all wrong. The customs documents are forged. And get this. He pulled up financial records. Every shipment coincides with weapons showing up in conflict zones. Human trafficking victims being moved through West Africa. Drugs flooding the streets. And Zara. Kwame shrugged. That's the $1 million question. Look at this. More footage. Zara and Femi at a business meeting. She's showing fabric samples, talking excitedly about a new collection. He's nodding, smiling, but his eyes are on his phone. She seems completely focused on the legitimate side, Kwame observed. Design. Marketing. The creative stuff. Or she's playing a role, Ezekiel countered. Boss. Kwame hesitated. I did some digging into her background. You said you knew her before. Ezekiel's jaw tightened. Continue. Orphaned at 12. Parents died in a car accident on the N1 highway. No siblings. Raised by her aunt in Nima, one of the poorest areas in Accra. Worked 3 jobs to pay for university. Started her business with nothing. Built it into an empire. Kwame looked at him. She's not just some spoiled rich girl, boss. She fought for everything she has. That doesn't excuse how she treats people, Ezekiel said coldly. No. But it explains it. Kwame leaned back in his chair. People who've been powerless sometimes overcompensate when they finally get power. They build walls. They push people away before they can be hurt. Ezekiel was quiet. Because he knew Kwame was right. He'd seen it that day by the river. 20 years ago. A 12-year-old Zara, standing on the edge. Her parents had just been buried. She had nothing left. Nobody left. She was ready to let the water take her. And 14-year-old Ezekiel, running away from his own abusive father, had found her. Don't do it, it said. Why not, she'd asked through tears. Nobody cares. Nobody would even notice. I would notice. I care. You don't even know me. I know you're hurting. I know you think it won't get better. But it will. I promise. He'd sat with her for hours. Talked to her. Made her laugh somehow. Made her promise to hold on just a little longer. They'd never exchanged last names. Never saw each other again. Until now. Boss. Kwame's voice pulled him back. The gala's in 5 days. That's our best shot to get close to her. Not just close, Ezekiel said, his voice hardening with purpose. I need her to trust me. If she's innocent, she's in danger. If Femi finds out we're investigating, he'll kill her, Kwame finished. Make it look like an accident. Or frame her for everything. Ezekiel nodded. Either way, we need to move fast. And carefully. He looked at the photo of Zara on the screen. The proud, cold woman who'd slapped him. So different from the broken girl by the river. What's our cover for the gala? He asked. Kwame grinned. You're James Addo. Part-time waiter, full-time struggling artist. Clean background we've already inserted into the system. You'll be serving champagne to Ghana's elite. And our backup. 3 teams positioned around the venue. Plus surveillance on all exits. Kwame's expression grew serious. But boss, if the cartel gets suspicious. They won't. Ezekiel's voice was still. I've been doing this too long to get made by criminals. He turned to leave, then paused. Kwame. Pull everything you can on the relationship between Zara and Femi. I want to know if it's just business or if there's something more. You think they're together? I think Femi Okafor doesn't keep anyone around unless they're useful to him. The question is, how is he using her? And does she know it? That night, in his quarters, Ezekiel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about that day. The Densu River. 20 years ago. He'd been 14. Running. His father had beaten him again. Broken his ribs this time. He'd packed what little he owned and left. No plan. No destination. Just away. He'd gone to the river to think. To figure out what came next. And found her instead. Little Zara. Skinny. Tear-stained. Standing at the edge where the current was strongest. She'd looked so small. He'd moved without thinking. Grabbed her. Pulled her back. She'd fought him at first. Screaming. Crying. Let me go. Let me go. But he'd held on. And eventually, she'd collapsed against him. Sobbing. They talked until the sun went down. About loss. About pain. About feeling like the world had forgotten you existed. What's your name? She'd asked finally. Ezekiel. But people call me Zeke. I'm Zara. Zara, you're going to be okay. How do you know? Because you're strong. Stronger than you think. She'd laughed bitterly. I'm not strong. I'm about to jump in a river. No. You're strong because you're still here. You're still fighting. Even when it hurts. Before she left that night, she'd hugged him. Thank you, Zeke, she'd whispered. Maybe I'll try to hold on. Just a little longer. He never saw her again. Until she'd slapped him outside that shopping center. 20 years. She'd become everything she'd promised herself she'd be. Rich. Powerful. Untouchable. But somewhere along the way, she'd also become cruel. And now, she was tangled up with one of the most dangerous criminals in West Africa. Whether she knew it or not. Ezekiel stood up. Walked to the window. Somewhere out there, in her mansion, Zara was probably asleep. Safe in her luxury. Surrounded by her walls. She had no idea what was coming. But he'd protect her. Even if she'd forgotten him. Even if she'd become someone who slapped beggars in the street. He'd save her. Again. The mission was simple on paper. Infiltrate the gala. Get close to Zara. Figure out what she knew. Bring down the Scorpion cartel. But nothing was ever simple when feelings got involved. And Ezekiel had a feeling this mission was about to get very complicated. While Zara slept peacefully in her mansion, the man she trusted most was on a phone call that would destroy her. Femi Okafor wasn't just her business partner. He was a monster. A liar. A killer. And if she ever found out the truth, he'd already decided exactly how to handle her. Femi's private office at Mensah Luxury Imports was everything he was. Beautiful on the surface. Rotten underneath. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Accra. Italian leather furniture. A bar stocked with whiskey that cost more than most people's rent. Modern art on the walls, the kind that looked sophisticated but meant nothing. Just like him. Femi stood at the window, phone pressed to his ear. His reflection in the glass showed a handsome man. The kind of face that opened doors. That made women blush. That made men jealous. But his eyes? Cold. Yes, everything is on schedule, he said into the phone. His voice was smooth. Cultured. The voice of a man who'd gone to the best schools. Who knew which fork to use at dinner. Who also knew 15 ways to kill someone without leaving a trace. The containers will clear customs on Thursday, he continued. My partner doesn't suspect anything. The voice on the other end said something that made him laugh. Zara. He chuckled. She's too busy playing Queen of Accra to notice what's happening in her own company. Instagram posts. Fashion shows. Charity galas. She sees what I want her to see. He walked to his desk. Pulled out a folder marked confidential. Inside. Shipping manifest. But not the real ones. These were the fake ones. The ones that said luxury furniture when they meant automatic weapons. The ones that said decorative sculptures when they meant 40 kilograms of pure heroin. She signs whatever I put in front of her, Femi said. Trust me completely. It's almost too easy. The voice on the other end asked another question. Femi's expression darkened. If she finds out. He was quiet for a moment. She won't. But if she does. I've already prepared for that. Every document has her signature. Every transaction goes through accounts with her name. If this operation ever goes down, she goes down with it. He smiled. A predator's smile. The beauty of it. She'll look like the mastermind. The corrupt businesswoman using her company as a front. And me. I'll be the innocent partner who had no idea what she was doing. Another question from the phone. Kill her. Femi considered this. Only if necessary. She's more valuable alive. A living scapegoat is better than a dead martyr. But if she becomes a problem. He let the threat hang in the air. The scorpion doesn't leave loose ends. You know that. After he hung up, Femi poured himself a whiskey. Sat in his leather chair. 3 years he'd been planning this. 3 years of pretending to care about fabric samples and color palettes and customer satisfaction. 3 years of playing the charming business partner. And Zara had bought it. Every smile. Every lie. Every performance. Sometimes he almost felt bad for her. Almost. But then he remembered the first rule of survival in his world: everyone is either predator or prey. And Zara Mensah, with all her money and pride and power, was still just prey. She just didn't know it yet. The next morning, Femi drove to Zara's office in the main showroom. The space was gorgeous. Her talent was undeniable. Everywhere you looked, there was beauty. Fabrics from across Africa. Furniture that looked like art. Colors that made you feel things. Zara had built something special. Too bad he was going to destroy it. Femi. Zara looked up from her design table, smiling. Perfect timing. I want to show you the new collection. She was wearing a cream-colored dress today. Her hair pulled back. She looked softer in her creative space. Less guarded. Always working, Femi said warmly, walking over to kiss her on both cheeks. The European greeting she loved. Don't you ever rest. Rest is for people without vision, she replied, pulling out fabric samples. Look at this. Hand-woven Kent from bone wire. But with a modern twist. Can you imagine this in the Dubai showroom? Femi made all the right sounds. Asked all the right questions. Played the supportive partner perfectly. But his mind was elsewhere. On the shipment coming in 4 days. On the $50 million worth of weapons hidden in containers marked with her company's logo. On the buyers waiting in 3 different countries. Femi. Zara's voice pulled him back. Are you listening? Sorry, beautiful. Just thinking about how brilliant you are. He flashed his perfect smile. This collection will make history. She beamed. God, she was easy to manipulate. Actually, he said, as if just remembering, I need you to sign some shipping documents. Routine stuff. For the Lagos warehouse. He pulled out papers. Slid them across the table. Zara picked up her pen without even looking at them. Started signing. You should read those, he said lightly. Testing. She laughed. Why? That's why I have you. You handle the boring stuff. I handle the creative genius. Perfect, he thought. Speaking of which, he said casually, I might need you to visit the warehouse this week. New storage system I want to show you. The warehouse. She wrinkled her nose. You know I hate that place. It's so industrial. I know. But humor me. It's important. She sighed. Fine. But you owe me lunch at La Gourmandise. Deal. As he left her office, Femi's phone buzzed. A message from his cartel contact, we have a problem. Someone's been asking questions. There might be an investigation. Femi's blood went cold. Then hot with anger. He typed back, handle it. What about your partner? Femi looked back at Zara's office. She was already back at her design table. Lost in her fabrics and dreams. I'll take care of her. That afternoon, in his office, Femi made another call. We need to accelerate the timeline, he said. Move the shipment to tomorrow night. That's risky, the voice replied. Rushing increases exposure. We don't have a choice. If there's an investigation, we need to move the product now. What about the woman? Femi was quiet for a moment. After the shipment's gone, we frame her. Make sure all evidence points to her. Then, Then we make sure she can never talk. You're going to kill her. I'm going to make it look like suicide, Femi said calmly. Corrupt businesswoman exposed. Facing life in prison. Takes the easy way out. Tragic. But believable. And if she figures it out before then? Femi's voice went cold. Then we skipped to the ending. He hung up. Walked back to the window. Zara trusted him. Maybe even had feelings for him. He'd seen the way she looked at him sometimes. The way she laughed at his jokes. The way she leaned in when he talked. Poor, stupid Zara. All that money. All that success. And she still couldn't see the snake right in front of her. What Femi didn't know was that 3 blocks away, Kwame was listening to every word. Boss, you need to hear this, he said into his earpiece. Ezekiel, training at the compound gym, stopped mid-punch. What is it? They've moved up the timeline. Shipments tomorrow night. And Femi's planning to kill her after. Ezekiel's blood turned to ice. How? Make it look like suicide. Frame her for everything first. Ezekiel grabbed the towel. Mind racing. We need to get her out. Can't, Kwame said. If she suddenly disappears, they'll know something's wrong. They'll move the shipment. Change locations. We'll lose everything. So we're using her as bait. We're using her to catch them. But boss. Kwame's voice was careful. She needs to know. We can't leave her blind to this. Ezekiel was torn. Protocol said maintain cover. Don't reveal the operation. But protocol didn't account for the girl he'd once saved from drowning. The gala's tomorrow, he said finally. I'll make contact there. And tell her what? Hi, I'm the beggar you slapped. I'm actually a secret agent. Your business partner's trying to kill you. Despite everything, Ezekiel almost smiled. Something like that. In her office, Zara held up a piece of fabric to the light. Beautiful. Perfect. Everything she'd worked for. She had no idea that in 24 hours, she'd be running for her life. No idea that the man she trusted was planning her death. No idea that her salvation would come from the last person she'd expect. The beggar she'd slapped was about to save her life. Asterisk again, the African Business Excellence Gala was the event of the season. Crystal chandeliers. Designer gowns. Champagne flowing like water. Zara Mensah looked like a goddess in gold. But in exactly 17 minutes, gunmen would storm the ballroom. And her perfect life would shatter like the glass doors they'd shoot through. She just didn't know it yet. The presidential banquet hall glowed like something out of a dream. Red carpet stretched from the street to the entrance. Photographers lined both sides, cameras flashing like lightning. Security guards in sharp suits checked invitations with devices that beeped green for yes, red for no. This wasn't just a party. This was power. Every important person in Ghana was here. Ministers. CEOs. Celebrities. The people who moved money and made decisions that affected millions. And Zara. She was in her element. She stepped out of her G-Wagon wearing a gold gown that cost more than a teacher's yearly salary. The dress hugged her body like liquid metal, then flowed out at the bottom like water. Her jewelry, diamonds and gold, caught every light and threw it back multiplied. She looked like money. She looked like a queen. Zara! Zara! Over here! Photographers shouted. She posed. Smiled. Turned. Every angle perfect. Every moment calculated. This was her armor. Beauty. Wealth. Perfection. Nobody could touch her here. Nobody. Inside the ballroom, the scene was even more spectacular. Tables dressed in white and gold. Centerpieces that looked like sculptures. A stage where later, awards would be given. A live orchestra playing soft jazz. The smell of expensive perfume mixing with gourmet food. And the people. Oh, the people. Everyone who was anyone in West Africa was here. Zara. A woman in a silver dress rushed over, a kiss in both cheeks. You look stunning. Thank you, darling. So do you. It was all fake. The kisses. The compliments. The friendships. Zara knew it. They knew it. Everyone knew it. But this was how the game was played. She moved through the room like she owned it. Because in a way, she did. Her company had decorated this venue. Her designs were on display. Her success was undeniable. Femi appeared at her side, looking devastating in a black tuxedo. You're glowing tonight, he whispered in her ear. She smiled. It's good lighting. It's more than that. His hand touched the small of her back. Possessive. Intimate. For a moment, just a moment, Zara let herself imagine what it would be like if this was real. If Femi really cared. If she could trust him the way she wanted to. But no. She'd learned long ago not to trust anyone with her heart. Not even charming business partners with perfect smiles. Ezekiel stood in the kitchen, adjusting his bow tie. He looked nothing like the beggar from the shopping center. Nothing like the operative from the compound. Tonight, he was James Addo. Waiter. Nobody important. Invisible. Perfect. You're new. Another waiter asked. First night, Ezekiel replied, putting on a nervous smile. Need the money. Just don't drop anything and you'll be fine. These rich people. They don't even see us. We are furniture to them. Perfect, Ezekiel thought. He picked up a tray of champagne glasses and walked into the ballroom. His eyes found her immediately. Zara. Golden. Radiant. Laughing at something someone said. And completely unaware that 3 armed men were already in position outside. Waiting for their signal. Ezekiel's earpiece crackled. Kwame's voice, boss, we've got movement. 3 vehicles approaching from the east. Could be nothing. Could be. Track them, Ezekiel murmured, pretending to adjust his collar. He moved through the crowd. Serving drinks. Being invisible. Getting closer to Zara. She was near the balcony doors now. Alone for once. Checking her phone. This was his chance. Champagne, madam. She glanced up. Barely looked at his face. Took a glass. Finally. Some decent service. I'm glad to meet your standards, Ezekiel replied carefully. Something in his voice made her look up properly. Their eyes met. And for a moment, just a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Recognition. Memory. Have we met before? She asked. Ezekiel's heart pounded. But his face stayed neutral. I don't believe so, madam. I would certainly remember someone as memorable as you. She shook her head. Of course not. I'm just tired. Perhaps you should rest, he said gently. You look like you carry a heavy burden. Her eyes flashed with irritation. I didn't ask for your analysis, waiter. Just bring me another drink in 10 minutes. As you wish. He bowed slightly and moved away. But his earpiece was exploding with noise. Boss. Boss. The vehicles, they are Scorpion Cartel. It's a hit team. They are coming for the gala. Ezekiel's blood turned to ice. How long? 3 minutes. Maybe less. He looked around the room. Hundreds of innocent people. Drinking. Laughing. Dancing. And Zara. Standing by those glass doors. A perfect target in her golden dress. Alert all teams, he said quietly. Prepare for. The lights went out. All of them. The ballroom plunged into complete darkness. For a second, silence. Then screams. Then. Crash. The glass doors exploded inward. Ezekiel's voice boomed with such authority that bodies hit the floor instantly. And then the gunfire started. Bang. 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 Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. Bullets shattered glass, splintered wood, tore through the beautiful decorations. People screamed. Cried. Crawled desperately for cover. Ezekiel moved through the chaos like he was born for it. His eyes had already adjusted. He could see the shooters, 3 of them. Positioned at different points. Professional. Coordinated. This wasn't random violence. This was an assassination. And he knew exactly who they were after. He found Zara crouched behind an overturned table. Her gold dress made her shine even in the darkness. Made her a target. Where was Femi? Gone. The coward had run the second the lights went out. Another burst of gunfire. Closer this time. They'd spotted her. Ezekiel didn't think. He just moved. Ran in a low crouch, zigzagging through the chaos. A bullet whizzed past his ear. Another punch threw a chair right where he'd been a second before. He reached Zara just as one of the shooters turned toward her. Come with me if you want to live, he shouted, grabbing her arm. She looked up at him. Her face streaked with tears. Her eyes wide with terror. All that pride. All that attitude. Gone. She was just a frightened woman facing death. Who are you? A bullet slammed into the wall behind her. So close her hair moved from the wind of it. Now. He pulled her up. Used his body to shield hers. Pushed her toward the service exit. Move. Move. They ran through the kitchen. Staff cowered behind counters. Dishes shattered. Someone was praying loudly. Ezekiel kicked open the back door. An SUV screeched to a halt in front of them. The door flew open. Get in. Kwame shouted from the driver's seat. Ezekiel practically threw Zara into the back seat and dove in after her. Go. 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 The SUV lurched forward. Tires screaming. Behind them, more gunfire. Bullets pinged off the armored exterior of the vehicle. Crack. The back window spiderwebbed but didn't shatter. Bulletproof glass. Zara was hyperventilating. Shaking. Her beautiful dress torn. Her perfect hair destroyed. What's happening? Who are those people? Why are they shooting at me? Who are you? Ezekiel was on his phone, coordinating with his team. Northern route is compromised. Take the eastern bridge. Get us to safe house 3. He turned to Zara. And said the words that would change everything. My name is Ezekiel Boten. I'm an undercover operative with the African Economic Crimes Unit. And someone just tried to kill you. Zara stared at him. Her mind refusing to process. What? That's insane. Why would anyone want to kill me? I'm a businesswoman. I design furniture. Your business partner doesn't just deal in furniture, Ezekiel said bluntly. Femi Okafor has been using your company to launder money for one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in West Africa. The Scorpion Cartel. No. No. That's impossible. Femi's my partner. We built this company together. You built the company, Ezekiel corrected. He infiltrated it. Used your reputation as cover for trafficking weapons. Drugs. People. Tears streamed down Zara's face, ruining her perfect makeup. And either they think you know too much, Ezekiel continued, or they are tying up loose ends. Either way, they want you dead. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. It's happening, Kwame said from the front seat, taking a hard turn that threw them against the door. And it's about to get worse. Boss, we've got 2 vehicles following us. Ezekiel looked back. Saw the headlights gaining. Can you lose them? I can try. The SUV surged forward, racing through the streets of Accra at dangerous speeds. Zara was crying, shaking, her whole world crumbling. And they weren't safe yet. Not even close. As the SUV raced through the dark streets, Zara looked at the man beside her. The waiter who'd saved her life. There was something about him. Something familiar. But her mind was too scattered. Too terrified to place it. All she knew was that everything she'd built was a lie. And the only person who could save her was a stranger in a waiter's uniform. Or was he? In a secure safe house, Zara Mensah, the woman who'd slapped a beggar a week ago, sat on a couch with her face in her hands. Crying. All her money couldn't save her. All her power couldn't protect her. All her walls couldn't keep out the truth. And the man watching her with gentle eyes. He'd seen her this broken once before. 20 years ago. When she was 12 and ready to die. The apartment was nothing special. Simple furniture. Basic kitchen. The kind of place that looked empty but was actually full of hidden cameras, reinforced doors, and enough security to stop an army. Zara sat on the grey couch, still in her torn gold dress. Her makeup had run down her face in black rivers. Her expensive jewelry looked ridiculous now. Like a costume on a broken door. Kwame was at a desk, 3 laptops open, typing furiously. Boss, I'm pulling all the files on Femi's operation. You need to see this. But Ezekiel wasn't looking at the screens. He was looking at Zara. She'd stopped crying. Now she just stared at nothing. Hollow. Empty. Like all the fight had gone out of her. Zara, he said gently. She looked up. Is that even your real name? Ezekiel. Or is that another lie? It's real. And you're really some kind of spy. Undercover operative. We've been investigating the Scorpion cartel for 2 years. Your company came up in the investigation 3 months ago. She laughed bitterly. So the waiter thing. Cover identity. And the beggar. The one eye. She couldn't finish. Also me. Her face crumbled. Oh God. I slapped you. I called you worthless. Useless. I was so cruel. You were being who you've trained yourself to be, Ezekiel said. Someone hard. Someone untouchable. Someone who pushes people away before they can hurt you. She looked at him sharply. You don't know me. I know you better than you think. How? Because you've been watching me. Investigating me. Studying me like some kind of criminal. No. His voice was quiet. Because I knew you before you became this person. Zara went very still. What? Ezekiel moved closer. Sat in the chair across from her. 20 years ago. The Densu River. You were 12 years old. Zara's breath caught. Your parents had just died, he continued. You'd come to the river alone. You stood at the edge where the current was strongest. Stop, she whispered. You were going to jump. Stop. But a 14-year-old boy found you. Pulled you back. Talked to you for hours until. Zeke. The name came out as barely a breath. Little Zeke from the riverside. He nodded. Zara's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was you? This whole time it was you. Hello, Zara. She stood up suddenly. Pacing. Her mind racing. I don't understand. How is this possible? You just happen to be investigating my company. You just happen to be the beggar she stopped. The memory of the slap hanging between them. It wasn't random, Ezekiel admitted. When your company came up in the investigation, I recognized your name. I volunteered for the assignment. Why? Because I needed to know what happened to the girl I saved. I needed to know if you were part of this or a victim. And what's your conclusion? Am I a criminal? No. You're a woman who's been betrayed by someone she trusted. Just like 20 years ago, you're standing at the edge of something that could destroy you. And just like 20 years ago. He stood up. Walked toward her. I'm not going to let you fall. Zara sank back onto the couch. Tell me about that day. Your version. Ezekiel sat beside her. Not too close. But close enough. I was running away, he began. My father had beaten me again. Broke my ribs this time. I couldn't take it anymore. So I packed what little I had and left. Where was your mother? Dead. Died when I was 7. I'm sorry. I went to the river to think. To figure out where to go. What to do. And then I saw you. He was quiet for a moment, remembering. You looked so small. So broken. Like the world had crushed you and you couldn't carry the weight anymore. That's exactly how I felt, Zara whispered. I knew that feeling. I'd stood at that same edge myself, more than once. But seeing you there. I couldn't let you do it. You saved my life. You saved mine too. She looked at him. How? You gave me purpose. After I pulled you back, after we talked, you made me realize I could help people. That my pain could mean something. That's why I became an operative. To save others the way I saved you. Zara was crying again. But different tears now. I never forgot you, she said. Even though I never knew your last name. Never saw you again. You were this voice in my head. Hold on a little longer. That's what you told me. Did you? Hold on. She laughed through her tears. I did more than hold on. I fought. I worked 3 jobs. Put myself through university. Built an empire. I became everything I thought would make me safe. But somewhere along the way, I became someone else. Someone hard. Someone cruel. She looked at him. Someone who would slap a homeless man for accidentally bumping into her. You became someone who was terrified of being hurt again. That's not an excuse. No. But it's an explanation. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Kwame cleared his throat. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a problem. They both turned to him. I've been going through Femi's communications. The attack tonight. It wasn't random. He knew you were investigating. He set it up to look like cartel violence, but really. He was trying to eliminate Zara. Why now? Ezekiel asked. Because there's a massive shipment coming in tomorrow night. $50 million worth of weapons. And look at this. He turned his laptop around. Documents filled the screen. Shipping manifest. Bank records. Emails. All with Zara's signature. He's been setting her up, Kwame explained. If this goes bad, every piece of evidence points to her. She looks like the mastermind. Zara stared at the screen. Those signatures. I never saw these documents. He's been forging them. But they'll hold up in court. Your company. Your accounts. Your name on everything. I'm going to prison, Zara said numbly. Even if I survive, I'm going to prison for crimes I didn't commit. No, Ezekiel said firmly. You're not. How can you stop it? By catching him in the act. Tomorrow night. When the shipment arrives. That's suicide. Kwame protested. After tonight, they'll be expecting us. Not if they think their plan worked. Ezekiel looked at Zara. We need you to go back. What? Go home. Act normal. Make Femi think you survived but you're scared. Let him comfort you. Make him believe he's still in control. You want me to face him? After he tried to kill me. We'll be watching. Every second. You'll be wearing cameras, microphones. The moment he incriminates himself, we move in. And if he just shoots me the second he sees me. He won't. He needs you alive until after the shipment. You're his insurance policy. Zara stood up. Paced again. This is insane. This is our only shot. She turned to face him. Why should I trust you? Because 20 years ago, I made you a promise. That things would get better. That you just had to hold on. He stood up. Walked toward her. I'm keeping that promise now. Zara looked at this man. This stranger who wasn't a stranger. The boy who'd saved her had become a man who saved others. And now he wanted to save her again. If I do this, she said slowly, if I help you, what happens after? After, you're free. Clear of all charges. You can rebuild. Rebuild what? My reputation will be destroyed. My company will be gone. You rebuilt from nothing once. You can do it again. But this time. He hesitated. This time, she prompted. This time you don't have to do it alone. Something passed between them. Not quite a promise. But close. Okay, she whispered. I'll do it. Kwame looked relieved. Good. Because we have less than 24 hours to. His computer beeped. He looked at the screen and his face went pale. What? Ezekiel asked. Facial recognition just picked up Femi. He's heading to Zara's house. Right now. Zara's blood turned cold. Auntie Morawa is there. She's alone. Ezekiel was already moving. Kwame, call backup. We are going. He grabbed Zara's hand. Time to see if you're as strong as I think you are. As they raced toward her mansion, Zara held tight to Ezekiel's hand. 20 years ago, he'd pulled her back from the edge. Now, she was running straight toward danger. But this time, she wasn't alone. This time, she had someone who believed she was worth saving. Even after she'd shown him her worst. Even after the slap. Zara Mensah had spent her whole life performing. Pretending to be stronger, colder, more confident than she felt. But this performance would be her greatest yet. She had to smile at the man who tried to kill her. Laugh with the man who'd betrayed her. And wear a wire while doing it. If she failed, she'd be dead before sunrise. They reached her mansion just as Femi's car was pulling away. Zara's heart hammered against her ribs. Is Auntie? She's fine, Kwame said, looking at his phone. Security footage shows Femi leaving. He was only there for 5 minutes. What did he want? Let's find out. Zara walked through her front door on shaking legs. Auntie Morawa. Zara. Her aunt rushed from the living room, wrapping her in a crushing hug. My child. I heard about the attack. The news said there was shooting at the gala. I'm okay, Auntie. I'm fine. The old woman pulled back, studying her face. You're not fine. You're terrified. Zara couldn't lie to her. Not completely. It was scary. But I'm safe now. Femi was here, Auntie Morawa said. He was so worried. He said he looked for you everywhere but couldn't find you. Liar, Zara thought. What else did he say? He wants you to call him. He said it's urgent. Something about moving some shipments because of security concerns. Ezekiel, standing in the doorway, nodded slightly. The plan was in motion. I'll call him, Zara said. Who are your friends? Auntie Morawa asked, noticing Ezekiel and Kwame for the first time. They're security. After tonight, I thought I should have protection. Her aunt nodded approvingly. Good. You can't be too careful. 20 minutes later, Zara sat in her bedroom, staring at her phone. Ezekiel attached a tiny device to her ear. This will record everything. We'll be able to hear both sides of the conversation. What if he can tell I'm scared? You should be scared. You were just in a shooting. Use that. Let him think you're vulnerable. She dialed. Femi answered on the first ring. Zara. Thank God. Are you hurt? Where are you? His voice was perfect. Worried. Caring. If she didn't know the truth, she'd believe every word. I'm home, she said, letting her voice shake. Femi, I was so scared. People were shooting. There was blood. I know, beautiful. I know. I'm so sorry I lost you in the chaos. When the lights went out, I tried to find you but you ran like a coward, she thought. It's okay, she said out loud. I don't understand why anyone would attack the gala. These criminals are getting bolder, Femi said smoothly. Which is why I need to see you. Can you meet me at the office tomorrow? We need to discuss moving our inventory somewhere safer. The warehouse. Yes. I know you hate it there, but after tonight, I need to make sure our assets are protected. And I need you to sign some emergency transfer documents. More forgeries, Zara realized. Of course, she said. What time? Noon. And Zara. Don't worry. I'll keep you safe. I promise. The call ended. Zara pulled off the earpiece and threw it on the bed. He's so good at this. He sounds like he actually cares. Sociopaths always do, Ezekiel said. That's what makes them dangerous. I don't know if I can face him tomorrow. Look him in the eye. Let him touch me. Yes, you can. Ezekiel sat beside her. You're one of the strongest people I know. You barely know me. I know you survived losing your parents. I know you built an empire from nothing. I know you're willing to risk your life to stop him. He looked at her. That's not weakness, Zara. That's courage. The next morning came too fast. Zara dressed carefully. Not too fancy, she just survived an attack. But not too casual, she was still Zara Mensah. She chose a navy blue dress. Professional. Controlled. The wire Kwame attached was invisible. Tiny cameras hidden in her jewelry. We'll be right outside, Ezekiel promised. The moment something goes wrong, we move in. Define wrong. If he pulls a weapon. If he threatens you directly. If you say the code word. Which is? I need some air. She nodded. Tried to stop her hands from shaking. The drive to the office felt like heading to her execution. Femi was waiting in the showroom. He looked perfect, as always. Tailored suit. Concerned expression. Zara. He walked toward her, arms open. She let him hug her. Fought not to vomit as his cologne filled her nose. You look tired, he said, pulling back to study her face. I didn't sleep. Of course not. After what you went through. He shook his head. I still can't believe it happened. Because you planned it, she thought. Let me get you some water, he offered. I'm fine. Let's just deal with the documents. He led her to his office. Those floor-to-ceiling windows. That expensive furniture. All bought with blood money. Here. He pushed papers across the desk. These authorize the emergency relocation of our inventory. After last night, we can't take chances. Zara picked up the pen. Then stopped. What inventory exactly? Femi's smile flickered for just a second. Our standard shipments. Furniture. Textiles. Why? I just want to understand what I'm signing. Since when do you care about the boring logistics? She had to be careful. Not too suspicious. But curious enough to make him talk. Since someone tried to kill me last night. Maybe it's time I paid more attention to our operations. Femi leaned back. Studied her. For a moment, she thought he knew. Thought he could see the wire. Hear her racing heart. Then he smiled. You're right. You should be more involved. In fact, why don't you come to the warehouse tonight? See the shipment yourself. Tonight. Midnight. I know it's late, but that's when the containers arrive. You can see exactly what we are moving. Would that make you feel better? She nodded. Yes. I'd like that. Good. He stood. Walked around the desk. Zara, I need you to know something. He was too close. She could smell his cologne. See the calculation in his eyes. What, she managed. You mean everything to me. This company. Our partnership. You. He touched her cheek. I would never let anything happen to you. It took everything she had not to pull away. I know, she lied. Back at the safe house, Ezekiel paced while reviewing footage from Zora's wire. He's definitely planning something, Kwame said. Inviting her to the warehouse at midnight. That's not normal. It's a trap, Ezekiel agreed. He's going to kill her there. Make it look like she was involved in the smuggling and something went wrong. So we are bought? No. We use it. He turned to Zora. This is our chance. He'll have the shipment there. His contacts. Everything we need to bring down the whole operation. And me as the perfect corpse to frame, Zara added. That's not going to happen. You sound very sure. I am. His eyes were fierce. I didn't save you 20 years ago just to lose you now. She wanted to believe him. She chose to believe him. Okay. Let's end this. Midnight was coming. The warehouse waited like a moth ready to swallow her whole. But Zara Mensah, the woman who'd built herself from nothing, was ready to give the performance of her life. Even if it killed her. Midnight. The timber docks. Zara stood in the shadows wearing a wire and a prayer. Around her, hidden in the darkness, 30 operatives waited to strike. But as a cargo ship emerged from the black water, she felt it in her bones. Something was wrong. This wasn't a bust. This was an ambush. The warehouse looked like a monster in the dark. Massive. Concrete. No windows. One way in, one way out. A kill box. Zara sat in her G-Wagon, hands gripping the steering wheel. The engine was still running. She could leave. Right now. Drive away and never look back. You okay? Ezekiel's voice came through her earpiece. No. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. She took a breath. He destroyed everything I built. Used me. Tried to kill me. I'm not running. That's my girl. The word sent warmth through her chest. I'm nobody's girl, she said, but there was no bite to it. We're in position, Ezekiel continued. Teams surrounding the building. The moment he incriminates himself, we move. And if he just shoots me, he won't get the chance. She saw Femi's car pull up. He stepped out, looking relaxed. Happy even. like a man about to close the biggest deal of his life. Or commit the perfect murder. "Showtime," Zara whispered. She got out of her car. The ocean air hit her, salt and diesel and something rotten. "Zara." Femi walked toward her, arms wide. "You came. I said I would." "I know, but after last night, I thought you might be too scared." "I don't scare easily." He smiled. That charming smile that had fooled her for 3 years. "No. You don't. That's what I love about you." The word love made her skin crawl. He led her toward the warehouse. Their footsteps echoed on the concrete. "The shipment's already here," he said. "Want to see what $50 million looks like?" $50 million. She kept her voice neutral. "That's a lot of furniture." He laughed. "Oh, Zara. Beautiful, brilliant Zara. You really have no idea, do you?" They entered the warehouse. And Zara's blood froze. It wasn't just Femi. There were 15 men inside. Armed. Dangerous. Some had scorpion tattoos visible on their necks. The cartel. "Ezekiel," she whispered, hoping the wire picked it up. "There are too many." "I see them," his voice came back tense. "Stay calm. We are adapting." Shipping containers filled the space. Femi walked to one, running his hand along it like a lover's touch. "Open it," he told one of the men. The container doors swung wide. Furniture in front. Just like always. But Femi pushed it aside, revealing what lay beneath. Weapons. Hundreds of them. Assault rifles. Grenades. Things Zara didn't even have names for. "Beautiful, aren't they?" Femi said. "That's not the word I'd use." "No. What word would you use?" "Illegal." He laughed. "Only if you get caught." "You know," Femi said, walking closer to her, "I've been thinking about our partnership." "Oh. 3 years we've worked together. 3 years I've watched you build your little empire. Your showrooms. Your celebrity clients. Your magazine covers." Something in his tone had changed. "Femi. And all that time, I was building something too. Something bigger. Something that actually matters. Weapons trafficking matters. Power matters." His eyes were cold now. "All pretense gone. Money matters. And you? You were the perfect cover. The successful businesswoman. Beautiful. Respected. Nobody suspected that your company was moving millions in contraband." "I didn't know." "Of course you didn't know." He laughed. "You were too busy picking fabric samples and posting on Instagram to notice what was happening in your own company. Every word was being recorded. This was it. The confession they needed." But something in his expression made her stomach drop. "But here's the thing," he continued. "The authorities. They're getting closer. Someone's been asking questions. Poking around." He pulled out a gun. "And suddenly, you survive an assassination attempt. Suddenly, you want to be more involved in operations. Suddenly, you're here at midnight, seeing everything." The gun pointed at her head. "Who are you working with, Zara?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Stop lying." His charm cracked completely, revealing the monster beneath. "The attack last night was supposed to kill you. But you vanished. Then reappeared. Like magic. I ran. I was scared." "With who? Who helped you?" "Nobody. I." He pressed the gun to her forehead. "Last chance." "Who?" "Freeze. Drop your weapon." The warehouse flooded with light and noise. Operatives poured in from every entrance. But Femi was faster than anyone expected. He grabbed Zara, spinning her around, using her as a shield. The gun pressed against her temple. Back off or she dies. Everything stopped. Through the crowd of operatives, she saw Ezekiel. His face was stone, but his eyes burned with fury. Let her go, Femi, he called out. It's over. We have the warehouse surrounded. Your shipment is seized. Your men are outnumbered. Then I have nothing to lose, do I? The gun pressed harder. Zara could feel the circle of metal against her skin. She ruined everything, Femi snarled. This stupid woman and her stupid company. I gave her success. I gave her wealth. And this is how she repays me. You used me, Zara said, finding her voice. You're nothing but a parasite. Shut up. You're a coward who hides behind others. You tried to frame me. Tried to kill me. But you failed. I said shut. In that split second when his attention wavered, Zara remembered something. Not from Ezekiel. From Auntie Morawa. Sometimes, child, you have to fight. Even when you're scared. Especially when you're scared. She drove her elbow back into his ribs with every ounce of strength she had. Simultaneously dropped her weight. The gun went off. The sound was deafening. But the bullet went wide, hitting a container. Ezekiel was already moving. Flying across the warehouse floor. He tackled Femi with the force of a hurricane. They went down hard. The gun skittered across the concrete. In seconds, other operatives swarmed in. Clear. We're clear. Suspect in custody. Medical team, check the hostage. But Zara wasn't listening. She was on her knees. Shaking. Then Ezekiel was there. Pulling her into his arms. Holding her so tight she could barely breathe. I'm okay, she gasped. I'm okay. Don't ever, scare me like that again. I thought being brave looked good on me. It does. He pulled back to look at her face. But so does being alive. Around them, the operation continued. Cartel members in handcuffs. Evidence being catalogued. The largest criminal bust in Ghana's history. Femi was dragged past them, his perfect suit torn, his face bloodied from Ezekiel's tackle. He looked at Zara with pure hatred. This isn't over, he spat. You think you've won. You have no idea who you're dealing with. The cartel doesn't forget. They'll come for you. Let them come, Ezekiel said coldly. They'll find me waiting. As they led Femi away, Zara stood on shaking legs. Is it really over? The operation is over. Femi's going to prison for life. The cartel's West African network is destroyed. But your life as you knew it? That's over too. She looked around the warehouse. At the weapons. The drugs hidden in other containers. The evidence of all the horror that had moved through her company. Good, she said quietly. That life was a lie anyway. As dawn broke over the Atlantic, Zara stood outside the warehouse. Her company was gone. Her reputation would be destroyed. Her perfect life was over. But for the first time in 20 years, she could breathe. Really breathe. Because the walls she'd built hadn't protected her. They trapped her. And now, finally, she was free. The headlines screamed her name. Businesswoman of the Year linked to trafficking ring. Zara Mensah, victim or villain. Luxury empire built on blood money. Her face was on every news channel. Every newspaper. Every social media platform. And for the first time in 20 years, Zara Mensah had to face the one thing she'd been running from. Herself. 3 days after the warehouse raid, Zara sat in her mansion watching her life get destroyed on live television. Sources confirmed that Mensah Luxury Imports was used to traffic weapons worth over $200 million in the past 3 years, the newsreader said. While prosecutors say Ms. Mensah was unaware of the operation, questions remain about how she could not have known. She turned off the TV. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing. But not with support. Clients were canceling contracts. Business partners were distancing themselves. So-called friends were giving interviews about how they always suspected something was off. The vultures were circling. "Don't read those," Ezekiel said, taking her phone away. He'd been staying at the mansion. "For her protection," he said. But Zara knew it was more than that. He was making sure she didn't break. "They hate me," she said quietly. "They don't even know you. Maybe that's my fault. I never let anyone know me." Auntie Morawa came in with tea. She'd been Zara's rock through everything. "The prosecutors are here," she said gently. "They need to prepare you for testimony." The next 3 hours were brutal. Question after question. Document after document. Reliving every moment of our partnership with Femi. "Did you sign this?" They showed her forged documents. "That's my signature, but I never saw this document." "What about this transfer?" "I don't know anything about it." "This shipment?" "I thought it was furniture." Over and over. Making her feel stupid. Blind. Complicit. By the end, she was exhausted. "You did well," the lead prosecutor said. "Your testimony will be crucial. Femi Okafor and 17 members of the Scorpion cartel are going down because of your bravery." "I wasn't brave. I was scared the whole time." "Bravery isn't the absence of fear, Miss Mensah. It's acting despite the fear." After they left, Zara stood at her window, looking out at her perfect garden. "I'm going to lose everything, aren't I?" "Your assets are frozen during investigation," Ezekiel said honestly. "The company is finished. Your reputation will take time to recover." "Time?" She laughed bitterly. "It's gone forever." "No. You can rebuild." "As what?" "The fool who didn't know her company was trafficking weapons. Or the criminal who got away with it. As someone who made mistakes and is trying to make amends." The trial began 2 weeks later. The courthouse was a circus. Media everywhere. Protesters outside. Some calling for justice. Others calling Zara a criminal who should be in jail too. She had to walk through them every day. "Murderer. Blood on your hands. How many people died because of your weapons?" Ezekiel walked beside her. Silent. Strong. A shield against the hatred. Inside the courtroom, she sat in the witness box for 3 days. Femi's lawyer tried to destroy her. "You expect us to believe you knew nothing. I trusted my partner. You signed these documents." He put them in front of me. I signed without reading. I was wrong to do that. You benefited from the criminal enterprise. I thought our success was from my designs. My work. How convenient. But then came the evidence. The recordings from her wire. The surveillance footage. The proof that she'd risked her life to stop Femi. On the 3rd day, she faced Femi directly. He sat there in his prison uniform. No longer the polished businessman. Just a criminal caught in his lies. "You were nothing when I met you," he said during cross-examination. "I made you rich. I made you successful." "No," Zara said firmly. "I built my business with talent and hard work. You used it. You corrupted it. You tried to destroy it. But you failed. You destroyed yourself the moment you betrayed me. The only person I betrayed was myself. By trusting you. By being too proud to pay attention. By treating people so badly that I had no real friends to warn me. The judge's verdict was swift. Femi Okafor, guilty on all counts. Life in prison. The cartel members, 25 to life. Zara Mensah, cleared of all criminal charges. But cleared didn't mean forgiven. Not by the public. Not by herself. With her assets frozen and her company under investigation, Zara had to make hard choices. She sold her mansion, her cars, her jewelry. Everything that had once defined her success. The money went to a fund for victims of trafficking and violence. Families who'd lost loved ones to the weapons her company had unknowingly transported. You don't have to give it all away, Auntie Amara said. Yes, I do. This money is tainted. I can't keep it. She moved into a small apartment. Got a regular car. Wore simple clothes. But the hardest part wasn't losing the money. It was facing the people she'd hurt. One afternoon, she went to find the security guard from the shopping center. The one who'd witnessed her slapping Ezekiel. I want to apologize, she said. For how I behaved that day. For how I've treated service workers. For being the kind of person who thinks money makes them better than others. The man studied her. You've been through a lot. That's not an excuse. No. But you're here now. Apologizing. That takes courage. She found others. The waiter from the gala she'd spoken to rudely. Shop assistants she'd dismissed. People she'd treated as invisible. Some forgave her. Some didn't. But she kept trying. 3 months after the trial, Zara stood in a community center in Nima. The same neighborhood where she'd grown up poor. I know what you're thinking, she said to the room full of young people. What's the disgraced businesswoman doing here? Silence. I'm here because I know what it's like to have nothing. To be looked down on. To be treated as worthless. She paused. And I'm here because I also know what it's like to become the person doing the looking down. To forget where you came from. To lose yourself in pride and money. A young man raised his hand. Why should we listen to you? You shouldn't. Not to the old me. But maybe you can learn from my mistakes. She started a program. Teaching business skills. Design. But more importantly, teaching values. Success without character is worthless, she told them. Money without compassion is poison. Power without humility is destruction. Slowly, something began to change. Not in the public perception, she was still the woman whose company trafficked weapons. But in herself. The walls she'd built for 20 years began to crack. The frightened 12-year-old girl began to heal. The cruel woman who'd slapped a beggar began to transform. 6 months after losing everything, Zara stood at the Denso River. The same spot where she'd almost ended her life. The same spot where a boy named Zeke had saved her. She heard footsteps behind her. She knew who it was without turning around. You always know where to find me, she said. You're predictable that way, Ezekiel replied, standing beside her. Am I still the woman who slapped you? No. You're becoming someone new. Who? That's for you to decide. They say some people are born twice. Once from their mother's womb. And once from the ashes of who they used to be. Zara Mensah had died. The cruel, proud woman was gone. And standing by the river, watching the sun set over Accra, was someone new. Someone softer. Someone real. I'm being reassigned, Ezekiel said quietly. Zara's heart stopped. When? 2 months. Kenya. Big trafficking ring. She nodded. Tried to keep her face neutral. Of course. It's what you do. Save people. Unless. He turned to face her fully. Unless I have a reason to request a different assignment. One that keeps me in Ghana. What kind of reason? The kind that involves a stubborn, brilliant, infuriating woman who slapped me in public and then turned out to be the bravest person I've ever met. She laughed, but tears were forming. That's oddly specific. I'm very specific about what I want. His voice grew serious. Zara, I'm not asking you to be who you were. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm just asking if you want to figure out who you're becoming, together. She thought about the woman who'd slapped a dirty beggar outside the shopping center. So proud. So angry. So lost. She thought about all the walls she'd built. All the people she'd pushed away. All the mistakes she'd made. And she thought about grace. About second chances. About the 14-year-old boy who'd seen value in a broken 12-year-old girl when she couldn't see it herself. Yes, she whispered. I want that. Ezekiel smiled, that same gentle smile from 20 years ago, and kissed her. Not like in the movies. Not perfect. But real. Honest. Full of promise. The community center in Nima was packed. Young people sat at tables, working on designs, learning skills, laughing together. On the wall, a sign, Second Chances Design Collective, founded by Zara Mensah and Ezekiel Boten. It wasn't a luxury empire. The furniture was simple. The clients were local businesses, NGOs, schools. But it was honest. Zara walked between the tables, stopping to help a girl with her sketching. Mom Zara, the girl said shyly, were you really rich once? I had money once, Zara corrected. But I wasn't rich. Not in the ways that matter. What ways matter? Relationships. Peace. Respect that's earned, not demanded. The ability to look at yourself in the mirror without shame. From across the room, Auntie Morawa watched with tears in her eyes. This was the girl she'd raised. This was the woman Zara was meant to be. Ezekiel entered, still in his work clothes. He'd taken a position training gunners anti-trafficking units. Staying close. Building something real with Zara. How was your day? She asked, kissing his cheek. Good. Trained 30 new officers. You. Got 3 new contracts. All verified. All clean. That's my girl. I told you, I'm nobody's girl, she said, but she was smiling. That evening, they held a graduation ceremony. 20 young people from the streets, from poverty, from situations like Zara had once been in. Now skilled. Now employed. Now hopeful. As Zara handed out certificates, a young man approached nervously. Mom, I need to tell you something. Yes. Before this program, I was sleeping on the streets. Begging. People looked at me like I was nothing. Like I was trash. Zara's throat tightened. But you saw me different. You gave me a chance. You treated me with respect. Everyone deserves respect, Zara said softly. I learned that the hard way. I know about what happened. The man you slapped. How he saved you. She nodded, ashamed. Mom, we all make mistakes. But you owned yours. You changed. That gives the rest of us hope that we can change too. Tears ran down Zara's face. After everyone left, she stood outside, looking at her reflection in the window. Simple clothes. Natural hair. No expensive jewelry. She looked ordinary. She looked free. Ezekiel joined her outside. What are you thinking about? About how grateful I am that I slapped you, she said with a small smile. He laughed. That's an interesting take. If I hadn't, you wouldn't have had a reason to get close to me. I wouldn't have learned the truth about Femi. I wouldn't have been forced to face who I'd become. She took his hand. Sometimes our worst moments lead to our best transformations. Deep thoughts from the woman who once said poor people should know their place. That woman was an idiot, Zara said firmly. But she learned. We are all still learning. They stood together, looking at the lights of Accra spreading out before them. The city where she'd built an empire on pride. Where she'd lost everything to betrayal. Where she'd found herself through humility. You know what I learned? Zara said softly. What? That when you lift others up, you rise higher than you ever could standing on them. That respect is earned through character, not demanded through arrogance. That every person has inherent worth. She looked at him. And that sometimes, the person you dismiss, the person you slap, the person you call worthless, they might be the angel sent to save your life. Have you ever judged someone by their appearance? Have you ever been judged? Have you ever let pride make you cruel? Have you ever been given a second chance you didn't deserve? Share your story in the comments. Let's learn from each other. Let's grow together. Subscribe to Folktales by Amara for more stories of resilience, redemption, and the unbreakable African spirit. Hit that notification bell. Your story matters. Your growth matters. You matter. Until next time, stay blessed. And remember, everyone deserves respect. Everyone.